Alright, here we are at the FlyTheWorld landing page, flytheworldsim.de. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and register, and your account will normally be provisioned well within 48 hours, and you'll get an email receiving your new password. Go ahead and change it in your first login, and then we'll head over to simulation. Here's the first screen you'll get when you log into the simulation. This left menu is where you'll navigate your settings. You can go in there, change your language, and change it to your local time zone in your profile there. First thing we're going to do is go through taking a job. So the first thing you need to do is really determine what you want to fly. For me, and we have a search bar here. You're going to start out with a private pilot license, so you go ahead and choose PPL to filter down. You can then filter it a little further, specific by model, or you can go type of aircraft. And if you're in an airline, you can select the airline drop down and look at that airline's available fleet. You need to take a look at two critical columns here, and actually this column is very important too. So first thing, all these yeses are locked aircraft. For one reason or another, they're locked. Rented and maintenance, being moved, whatever it be, you can't use those aircraft. The second column, if you're looking to rent, you can sort, and all these aircraft are for rent. The other thing you need to pay attention to is some people don't do maintenance on their planes. So for example, this plane right here, this Baron, is available, it's locked. It's available for rent in theory if it wasn't locked. However, the C-check, which is maintenance, is due this month. So after the last day of this month, this aircraft's not going to be able to be used unless that user does maintenance on it. So we're going to filter by this again. So now we have a bunch of unlocked aircraft available here. You notice like this one here hasn't had maintenance done since 2017. So let's go ahead and find a plane that we want to rent. I'm going to go with a Beechcraft Baron B58. We're going to find one to rent. So this one's rentable as BCT. You notice it's rentable, not locked, and it has a valid maintenance date up until the end of this month. So to check an aircraft out from a virtual airline or to rent it from another airline, you're just going to click here. Now I need to unrent the one I'm using actually. You can't rent two aircraft at once. So let's go back to this. And here it is again. Rent. Okay, the B58 is now rented. The next step is to select your job. If you're in an airline, they can either dispatch you a job, which will be tailored for that airframe and set on one of their routes, or you can come here as a single pilot and rent the plane and find your own job. You're going to type in the departure ICAO. I believe it was SBCT. So down here you're going to have the summary window. Is a great window to use. You have a list of jobs here, these are the default jobs in FlyTheWorld. They're not great paying, as you'll see right here, but they're usually within a good reasonable distance of the airport. So you can select a few, and what you'll notice is I'm now over my max payload. Obviously a small general aviation aircraft isn't going to have a whole lot of payload. A 920 kilogram load is not going to be a realistic load for that plane. So you can go ahead and select as many as you can fit. Keep in mind, this screen does not factor in for fuel. So you need to do that on your own. So I've selected two jobs. I've got a total pay of 613 euros. What I'm going to do is hit extras and add these things to my assignments. This will add it right here. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to show you a better way to take jobs. Better paying and much easier. So we have the departure ICAO in here. We have a plane rented, which is the first critical step when taking this type of job. And we're going to go to the agent right here. This is the guy in the little blue suit. This is going to bring up a list of jobs for you that'll fit in your plane. Keep in mind, this doesn't factor in how much fuel you as the pilot are going to load into your plane. So you are responsible for proper loading procedures. FlyTheWorld cannot determine that for you. We can show these destinations on the map. So you have your starting point here. We're just outside of this city. And we can click on all these little points, and you'll notice there's 13, 14, 15,000 euro payouts, which is much better for only, what's the distance on this one? 117 miles. So you're already getting much better pay by many folds than the normal job planning jobs. So once you find one that you want to play or fly, we'll go to this airport. We're gonna find that airport on the, you can sort by miles, which makes it a little bit easier. So here's the airport right here that I want to use. One key thing in all FlyTheWorld flights, class 1 through 7 airports are classified airports with fuel. Class 8 are basically airstrips that haven't really met any criteria for the team or FlyTheWorld. They don't fall into a bucket. These can and cannot have fuel, so you have to be very careful with your planning on this stuff. So class 8, we're going to go ahead and take a risk. Maybe there's no fuel there. It's a short flight, so we'll have plenty of fuel when I load up to do a second hop with another agent job following on this. Now once you take an agent job, you're locked out. There's no other agent jobs you can load. You can go to my assignments, take a look. The job will be in there now. What you can do to ease your payload a little bit is delete the cargo. It pays nothing, 25 euro. It's just a little additional load that FlyTheWorld throws in there. It does nothing for the job. Go ahead and trash it. We have 4 passengers, 284 kilograms with 37 kilograms of baggage. They're going to pay us $13,000 to fly them just over 100 miles. So the next step on this screen is to head over to terminal. First things first at terminal, take a look at your numbers, make sure everything looks like you're going to be able to achieve this successfully. Hit start flight. Flight is now started. From here, you need to load fuel. You can either do it on your own and using your own third-party software, or if you have your own calculation. An alternative, I don't know if the B58 is in SimBrief, but you can click on flight information, export this right to SimBrief for you. Alright. Now it doesn't recognize this airport, which is going to be a problem, and that is an issue with SimBrief in some other areas of the world. So what you can do is find a nearby airport, calculate your fuel, and go from there and just kind of fly it. It's kind of tough with a lot of airports not being in databases, whether it's in Navigraph, only recognizes mostly ICAOs, not IATAs in some cases. SimBrief, this is the same problem. So it's on the user, you gotta do proper planning. So once you've started your flight, we've loaded fuel. So we have plenty of space to take on more fuel. So we can go ahead and fuel up, and I'll show you how. So we have fuel available. This shows you that another airline has fuel here. So they actually don't have avgas, which is what the Baron B58 uses. So we're gonna have to buy from the system, which is usually a little bit more expensive, but that's okay. Now a key thing to pay attention to here, loading up your fuel. You only have so much remaining weight available that's useful to your plane. Although the capacity of this plane is 543 kilograms, I could fill up to 543 right now. I'm going to be over my MTOW, however, if I do that. This FlyTheWorld is telling me I can only load another 239 kilograms in this plane. And that's due to my payload that I already have my passengers and their baggage. So because of that, I'm only going to load you can go to the second block, and I can basically add 230 kilograms to what I have. Calculate. I'm going to pay 690 euro. Fuel up. And now I have 9 kilograms remaining useful takeoff weight. Not a lot. This is going to be a heavy takeoff for a Baron. But the key is you can't defuel a plane unless you own it. So if you go over, you're dead in the water until someone can come online, defuel their own plane, because this costs money. Fuel is very expensive, and if you waste fuel, that owner is paying for it, because you only get reimbursed on the fuel that you use for the flight. So if you buy excess fuel and then you have to dump it, it's kind of a waste. So we've fueled up. We've started the flight. We're now going to take a look at Yacars, which is the pirate software that FlyTheWorld uses.